people on the camera. I am Nia. This is a heralding class. This is about field heralding specifically. I'm gonna have my fun cheat sheet. So the big thing about field heralding that all of you guys should know is that the most important part of it is maintaining a safe field. Maintaining a safe field means injuries, and we are in charge of safety, and especially in field heralding, that's more and more. You'll notice that if you do like tournament heralding, precision and stuff on like where hits are and things like that, the rules matter a lot more because it's a tournament. But when you're on the field, always choose safety over like somebody being like everyone perfectly taking hits, especially right now coming out of the pandemic, as everyone's shot calibration is recalibrating, though it is getting better, and I'm proud of you guys. But also an important part of the field is making sure the field is fun and it is safe to play. Having an unfun field means that there's just a bunch of grumpy fighters, and y'all aren't fun when you're grumpy. No offense. So important things, even when field heralding, heck, even as a fighter, I think you should know this, is knowing the Book of War. If you haven't read through the Book of War, that's your homework after this, is to read through the Book of War. It's like max 30 pages, I think. It's not that long. Y'all are capable of reading the Book of War. Use common sense is also very important. Especially like when you've got weird situations, and I'm gonna have a class later on that talks about how to deal with like people being on the field, emergency situations, conflicts and stuff. But use common sense, pick options that are going to equally apply options, and pick stuff to keep people safe. Because safety is our biggest thing. Safety and fun are our biggest factors on a field. When you're calling battles, for those of you who haven't heard, it is simply weapons up, lay on, and these are some. Was anyone not familiar with this terminology? I think all of you have been fighting on the field for the most part. But some important terminology is fighters ready. I often say weapons up. I also do hand signals too. In case someone's like hard of hearing, but they're looking at the herald, I go weapons up, and I move my hands in circles to lay on. This is something that Talon taught me, and something I try to do. Also, if you can't like speak very loudly, megaphones are great. And I always have a megaphone for people to borrow. So hold. This goes back to our safety. If someone has an incident, you say hold. If you hear a fighter saying things like hold the line, shit like that, stuff like that, remind them not to say it. Just be nice and gentle. And remember that like they probably didn't mean to. Not everything. Nothing is very personal most of the time. And resume is after a hold. Line up, fighters regroup are also some really common terminology that you all will hear on the field. Is there any questions about terminology? All of it makes sense? Most of this stuff is very logical. The thing about field heralding, the really big thing is getting comfortable with it. And, you know, being confident. If you're going to call a hold confidently. If you're going to call weapons up, lay on, call it confidently. You're going to be like, hey, you in that outfit over there, move over here, call it confidently. Because that's how you're going to get people to listen to you and get to be heard, and it makes the field run smoother, and it's less likely for people to question your decisions. Because people will try to, and then you go, I'm wearing yellow, you don't get to do that, and then when they have an issue with you, I get to deal with it. It's a fun job I have. Yeah, and also keeping teams balanced. A fight or two with teams unbalanced is not the end of the world. When you've got like a small field, I like to go like whatever team won. If they had someone die, it switches fields, so self-balancing. You can do even numbers. Keep note of like if one side has all poles and one side has all shields, switch a couple people, mix it up. But as the fields get bigger, it's a lot easier to just kind of like throw someone over here, throw someone over here, and then like you notice, keep track of who's winning and who's losing. And if someone's like, if the left side has lost like 3 in a row is kind of my thing, I'll like be like, hey, right side, pick a friend, or hey, you and you, go over there. Just depending on the size of the field. The bigger the field, the less choice you're going to give fighters for things like that, just because it's just. But here on like Marian's field and stuff, you can do things when you've got like 10 people on each side. You can be like and oftentimes I'll like appoint a team leader and have people line up and pick teams. Just like I'll often do that to remix it up, and that'll allow me going like, hey, Vander's team, please pick a person from the other side, and that helps balance things out. Feel free to do your own quirky little things to self-balance teams. I just make things up as I go. Hello, welcome to the Heralding class. My name is Nia. You have a vaccine card to check. I will get this after this class. Thank you. Active heralding. While safety is important, you have to remember that a clean field is important for safety. But you are watching more for safety issues in the field. You're still watching for, like, safety issues include clean field includes not lots of headshots. Headshots are in fact a safety issue. And also having a clean field means there's less likely for fights to get out in between fighters and resentment to grow, and that happens in a yes, Talon.
What exactly is a clean field?
A clean field is a field that there's minimal sloughing, minimal arguments, minimal legal shots.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Yep.
So, and so you want to make sure, and to do this, you do this by actively heralding. So if you're actively heralding, you're keeping track, you're getting in close to people, don't get hit by someone or run over. Obviously your safety is important, please. But keeping at a distance where you can see what's going on, paying attention, and a lot of people, I have noticed in heralding, will be better fighters, cleaner fighters, with a herald in yellow standing near them if there's someone watching them. And people don't always mean to slough, like I'm not saying anyone's over here super sloughing intentionally. But it's a nice reminder for when you're heralding, is if I'm up close to someone and they're here fighting and I'm wearing yellow, I'm very noticeable. It's not just the red hair, bright yellow is obnoxious. And so you're noticeable, you're seen, and it maintains a sense of someone's paying attention, and everyone feels a lot more comfortable on the field too. So that way when there's disagreements, you've got someone to be like, no, this is what I saw, this is the call we're making, and it makes the field more peaceful, and it makes the field safer, because we don't need a fist fight in the middle of the field. Not that I think I've ever had a fist fight in the middle of the field, but I don't want one. Also, when you've got people, something I do is part of active heralding is also introducing new people. So you've got people that haven't been on the field for a while, or you've got someone new that showed up, and we get that a lot. Introducing them, being like, hey, this is so-and-so, this is their name, be nice to them, and things like that, and interact with them. I try really hard to talk to, especially like newer people and stuff on the field, especially like sometimes when I'm off the field and stuff, I'll have people come up and I'll be sent people's questions, and I try to interact with them. And I think it is important for all heralds to do that, because knowing the people on the field means, especially like here at our home field, the more people you know means that you better balance teams, you know who people's strengths are, you know who really likes to fight with who, and like sometimes you can put people that really like to fight together because that's more fun for them. And that's the whole point, is making this game fun, and a lot of that involves some interpersonal skills from time to time. Knowing who's on your field and being like, Six and Lucian love fighting together. Well, I'll put them on the same side, and then I'll put two other people on the same side that really like fighting together, and then it's a lot of fun. Because people want to fight with their friends. And also that's what's good about mixing up teams, is you get to have lots of people fighting with lots of people that like to fight with as well. Another important thing is watch for angry fighters, and that can sometimes get difficult because sometimes fighters are loud. Loud does not always equal angry. But like throwing, and a lot of fighters, sometimes older fighters, veteran fighters, will sometimes know when they're angry and step off the field. But again, this goes to knowing people, is that you gotta figure out the people in your field. And if you don't know someone and they're being loud, and you're like, hey, you good, bud? And they might might be like, yeah, I'm just I'm just speaking loudly, or no, I'm a little frustrated. Be like, hey, why don't you sit off? You get yourself some water. And if you have any things like that, are very important to maintaining a safe field, because angry and frustrated fighters don't fight well. And they don't fight clean, or as clean. Things to also watch out for is head hunting. That's when like a fighter will take things into their own hands. So let's say a big guy knocked over skull people, and there's a couple people that are like, this was my unit mate, time to hunt them down. You're gonna be like, no, you all get to sit off to the side for a bit. Vigilante justice would probably be another word for it. And that is not something that should be done on the field. It does happen, just keep an eye out for it. And that often happens if there's a lack of intervention on the herald course. So, you know, if someone knocks someone over and they get injured and you're like, hey, dude, you gotta be careful. You are a big person. While what you did was not illegal by the rules, it is still a safety issue. And remember that out on the field, that your calls come first. If you perceive something to be a safety issue, even if it's not like directly in the rules and stuff, like a dog running onto the field, safety issue. That would be a time where I would call hold on the field, because I don't want the dog to get injured. People don't know it's there, and things like that. And things like someone getting injured, and you're like, hey, this person got injured. Please pay attention to who you're running over and stuff like that. While your move wasn't illegal, it was dangerous. And our rules cannot categorize everything, which is why we have heralds on the field to make those kinds of calls. I talked about this already, but there's a nice reminder in my cheat sheet to be assertive. Confidence is important. Like I said, people will listen to you if you're confident in your calls. And that has a cleaner field, that has a more well-run field. It keeps people it keeps people coming out, because they're like, oh, the heralds are involved in our safety, and the fields run well, fighting is good, and heralding directly relates to how good that fighting is. Because it means people feel like there's someone paying attention to their fights, making sure everyone's clean, including themselves, and that, you know, the fights are balanced. There's not one team losing all the time. And so being active, that's probably the hardest thing to learn as a field herald. It's not something I can stand here and teach you. It is something you have to go out there and do, and to be confident in your calls. And like also an important thing, I know most of you guys fight, those that don't, it is really important to be up to date on like rules and stuff too. Rule changes, pay attention to those things. Just as important. I'm a non-com, I don't go out there and fight. I've injured myself in other things too many times. But I still try to keep as up to date as I can, up to date with the war and stuff like that. So that's important. So this is about the end of it. Is there any questions before I just remind you guys to be assertive and confident over and over again, because that's really the important thing here?
Now, being assertive doesn't necessarily mean being a whole about things. It just means speak firmly. Yeah. Speak confidently.
Yeah, assertive tone, I guess, is a better descriptor.
Right. Is
speak with purpose. Don't be like, I guess you can do that. No wishy-washiness. Going like, this is what's happening. And know that if you're out there field heralding and I am not, I will back your place. We might have a conversation on the side in private afterwards, but something that is important for anything that is leadership, dealing with these rules and stuff, very front-facing, is having a concept of being in agreement. We might have a conversation, because at the end of the day, what you say goes when you're wearing yellow out on that field. And we might have a conversation where it's like, hey, this is what I think you should do next time instead. And you're like, oh, thank you for this lovely teaching moment, Nia. But I'm never gonna like chew you out in front of someone. I've got your back. And that I think is also important to know.
So that means that communication between heralds is going to be vital at that point.
Yeah, talk to your other heralds. Thank you, Sir Six. Nice reminder, talk to your heralds. I do expect that if I'm not on the field and you are, and you've got problems, I expect when I come back out to Herald, active communication between everyone. I will try to, if I'm like, I'm going to do this weird thing real quick, I'll give you a heads up before I call everything. Communication is vital. Communication even between like the heralds and fighters being like, hey, there's a thunderstorm calling in the area. When we get lightning, we're going to have to call this. It's important. Or noting, hey, we're going to be doing a tournament on so-and-so day. I think it's next week, actually. This type of things are really, really important to know. And communication is important. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what's the process to become a herald? Is there like a test?
So there's a herald test. I was going to print some out, and then I realized I didn't have the answers to it, and I was out of paper. So 2 issues. I will be getting more paper, nagging Talon for the answers. I looked through my text messages. This man was like, here's the herald's test, Nia. I'll get the answers and make sure they're up to date, and then did not send me the answers.
Doesn't the Book of War have all the answers?
Yes, but you do not take it with this one with the Book of War. At some point, I'm going to be going through and I think editing a bit the Herald's test, but I have not gotten to that because I have a full-time job, and I'm a busy human being. So, but yes, there is a Herald's test, and if you haven't taken the Herald's test, you can only herald. You can still like learn Shadow Field heralding, but you have to do it with someone that's already taken the heralding test out in the field. So if you wanted to herald today, I would let you be out in the field when I was out in the field, or someone else. So.
What if you have an old test on file?
You get grandfathered in, so you're good. Any further questions, comments, concerns, random things I can answer?
Those are all my questions.
Sweet. Thank you guys for showing up. And I hope this was really helpful. The next one is going to be on weapons checking. And I'm going to be recruiting squires to help me today. So, thank you.